This episode is sponsored by Realtor.com, who wants you to take advantage of your free profile on Realtor.com. By claiming and completing your free profile, adding a photo, and all of the information that puts you head and shoulders above the competition, you're on your way to receiving free leads, helping search engines find you, and staying top of mind with past clients. To learn more about claiming your free profile, go to Realtor.com/profile. Welcome to the Real View podcast, where Ohio Realtors connect you to innovators and influencers, keeping you with the real view of real estate. Whether you're a broker, agent, first-time homebuyer, industry leader, or just happen to stumble upon our podcast today, you can expect to hear tips, tools, tricks, interesting information, and so much more from the experts in Ohio's real estate game. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Real View podcast. I am your host, Allison Wiley. Joining me today, I have two very special guests. It's always a fun time when I have two people joining me on the show instead of just one. So it'll be a very special episode today. And they are going to be joining us at our 2023 convention coming up here just in a couple weeks, which is really excited. So I would like to welcome on to the show, Christopher, Matos-Rogers, and Jan Green. Welcome on, you two.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about sustainability. And these two are some of the best in the business when it comes to their sustainability practices, how they have made it a part of their business. This is what they're going to be talking about at our convention. So we don't want to give away too much because we hope you all will be joining us at convention and hear from Jan and Christopher there. But we are dive into this world a little bit and maybe get a little bit of insight into what they're going to be talking about at convention. But before we do that, I have to start at the beginning. I would love to know a little bit more about the both of you. How did you get started in real estate? I know, Christopher, you had kind of an interesting and unusual career before you got started doing what you do in real estate, but I would love to hear a little bit more about the two of you, your career paths, how you all became so passionate about this world of sustainability.
It's an interesting tale how I got into real estate in general. I, with my former husband, relocated around the U.S. So I was the one vacuuming backwards out the door as I had pulled everything into my van. From state to state, I saw relocation in real estate really well. I've dealt with all the vendors and sold the houses. In 2002, fast forward a little before that, I went to school for about 2.5 years. So in 2002, I decided I was going to get my real estate license because coincidentally, 40 years ago, I was a property manager, but I have a finance background. So I go way back, a little far. But long story, I got my real estate license in 2002 and decided that's what I wanted to do. And then in 2008, I heard about green designation. So I got my first one then.
That's awesome. Christopher, what about you?
Yeah, I love Jan's finance background because, that's such a big part of the sustainability story that is misunderstood. But for me, I actually was really excited when I saw the description for the presentation that was crafted for Jan and I, because it says something along the lines of like what we want you to know or what your clients want you to know about sustainability. And my story to real estate is exactly that. I became a realtor because there was nobody in the Atlanta market doing this. Nobody was working with folks who already had electric vehicles. So prior to real estate, I worked in marine biology. It was an awesome job. I got to travel and, work with cetaceans, which are whales, pinnipeds, which are like seals and sea lions. Most of my time was spent here in Atlanta. But with that, like so many people in my industry, we were very outdoorsy. And so I drove this big Jeep and it was fun. It only got 13 miles to the gallon though. And on the small salary that I had, I started exploring electric vehicles. And at the time, Georgia had an amazing tax credit program. And so we switched. And then my husband switched to EV as well 2 weeks after. And then we ended up buying our house 6 months later with the tax credits that we got, state and federal times two. We've really built wealth around it. And when we were going through that process of saying we wanted to have a house that would be easily convertible or upgradable to charge electric vehicles, could be a long-term potential for solar, there was nobody in the space that could help us. So we really navigated that with the help of a realtor, but the aspects that we were looking at, sustainability, we did ourselves. So just a few months after that, I decided to get into real estate and offer that here in the Atlanta market, and to also help educate realtors in the market about what was already here because of the robust community that Atlanta had already in 2014, so 9 years ago. And that's kind of what has led me here today.
You all are both obviously really passionate about sustainability and have made it kind of a part of your everyday practices. From your perspectives, why do you think sustainability is so important? And maybe share just a little bit, from your worlds as to why, as realtors, we should be getting involved and caring about this. And maybe share a little bit too, just for the general public who doesn't really know what this word means. We hear sustainability, but what does that word mean and why is it so important, especially to our real estate world?
You hit the nail on the head. Sustainability is a big word, right? And that's also the opportunity, is there's so many pieces of sustainability that you can get into and really specialize and focus on and serve that clientele. But for me, the biggest thing was just that there was so much misinformation, disinformation, lack of understanding, fear, which is with a lot of things that happen in our industry and that happen with business and as things change over the time. It helped me immensely as I started going down this path. And I just wanted more people to understand the opportunity they had if they chose to explore it as well, rather than being afraid, rather than assuming that sustainability meant what we kind of think about it as is that you give up or sacrifice something, you pay additional and do with less because you care only about the environment. You could help the environment and also have a better experience and save money. And it's right at the crux of what realtors should be doing. And more of our clients are asking us on a daily basis a lot of these questions. They don't come out and say like the buzzwords, but you have to be able to understand what those words are. And we'll talk more about that in the program in September. And on top of that, we all have personal lives, homes, businesses. These are things that can save our money. So as we're talking about going through a shifting market and needing to be careful about cost, it's a great time to roll some of these in. And then you tie in the IRA rebates, which are now in place this year, and tax credits, and it just builds and builds and builds.
What about you, Jan? What do you think? Why is it so important to you and to our industry?
Sustainability is huge in the deserts. In Arizona, we have finite resources and a lot of sunshine. So what's so important here in this dynamic, not only for realtors to understand it, but consumers understand more than we know. I mean, it's so important to stay up with consumer knowledge and to know what they want, what they're looking for, whether it's in their lifestyle or their homes. Sustainability is all encompassing. We have limited amount of water here. We've been managing it really well for a very long time, but there's more and more technologies and things coming about to manage that. One of the cool things about being here is ASU is huge into sustainability. I mean, they're the first degree program, master's degrees, and companies in technology coming away from that. Like a company that was created, Zero Mass Water, is now Global Source, I think is the name of it, because they're in 50 countries creating water from thin air from hydro panels. And so they're actually doing it locally here now. So we have communities of our 22 Indian tribes in Arizona. Some of them have no water. We need to be aware of how to share that information with the public, with consumers, and how to understand it, because you may have a home like that to sell. So it's critically important to understand those features and how sustainability fits in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just, we're hearing it so much, now in the news, and, as things are coming up. And I know here in Ohio, we've been dealing with some really bad smoke, from some wildfires, and in Canada. And this is the first time, we're kind of getting to experience some of the things that can happen when we aren't taking sustainability seriously and we aren't, doing anything. What this type of, environment is what could happen. So it's so relevant. I think it's more important, every day that goes by that we're taking this seriously and that we're really trying to do something about it. And you're right, as realtors, we have such an amazing opportunity to lead the charge on this, and so much of what we do is about being on the forefront of the latest trends and technology of what our consumers are wanting. So this is going to be a really great thing to talk about. And I'm excited that we're going to be discussing a little bit more about it. And I want to talk too about, as we think about, our role, realtors' role in sustainability, is the green designation through NAR. And I believe both of you have achieved that. So congratulations on that. Share with us a little bit more about what that designation is and how our realtors can achieve that.
I took the green designation in 2018. It took me a couple of years to do it because I actually wanted to bring it to Georgia and help educate other realtors rather than, just go to California or Florida and take one of the classes. So I was really excited because we did that one class in Atlanta and we doubled the number of green designees in the state. We went from 40 to 87. So it was really awesome. What's so great about the green designation is that it's a 2-day course, can be taken online or in person. And there are some, online Zoom live classes. But the first day is largely telling you what this stuff is. It gives you a real introduction and a good understanding about what this looks like in houses, how to spot it. And then the second day is largely about how do we put this into business? How do we market the homes? Because that really is the key right here is we need to be able to understand this stuff when we are showing a home or potentially listing a home, be able to explain the benefits or why it matters, because a lot of this stuff might be hidden. And then we need to be able to represent that and market that when we're listing or buying during that transaction, because these things do have value. And it is one thing where the majority of realtors still have just no idea how it equates to value. So understanding some of the things, whether it's a whole home certification or it's, host-owned solar that's owned by the property owner. Right now, most realtors think, I don't understand why that matters. Why would that be valuable? So understanding how and why it adds value, but also the process to attain that value for the seller is so important.
And Jan, what about you? Anything else as far as the designation and why it is a good idea for realtors to take a look and maybe get certified?
The green designation, I earned it in 2014, but I earned an eco broker in 2008. So my base of knowledge goes back, and it wasn't difficult to get the designation. I already understood the content. But what I really like is it's a great base of knowledge. You start with earning the green designation and learning about zero energy ready homes, net zero, and then you can expand that by going and understanding the features and benefits in homes that you're showing every day. Once you get that green designation, you can go to a new home subdivision that's Energy Star and talk to that builder, talk to the sales agents, understand the features and learn why they're important to consumers. I mean, we always talk about energy efficiency, but it's so much more than that.
I'll add as well. I mean, one of the things I think a lot of is overlooked, and again, you only get out of it what you put into it. Jan and I are both Evergreen Award winners from NAR, which is a part of the Green Designation program. So that's an opportunity for green designees as they demonstrate this in their business and their association and their communities. You can become an Evergreen winner. Also, there's an amazing network. There's a Facebook group for the green designation, like a lot of the other designations. It's very active. There's shared knowledge and referral based. And on top of that, there is a public facing website so that the public, when they're selling one of these or wanting to buy one of these properties, they can search the database based on location. If you maintain and set up your profile in there, then you're going to pop up when people search in your area. So that's really important as well.
Thank you guys for that. I think it's important, that we're sharing ways realtors can achieve some of the similar stuff that you all do and just why it's important, because it really is. And I think it's, the current and the future of what, our industry is going to be paying attention and focusing on. And Jan, you kind of mentioned too a little bit just about homes and, characteristics and things, that goes into a home that's sustainable and green. Would you share with us, both of you, some of the characteristics or features or what exactly makes a home green?
Energy efficient home is going to have a lot of different components, from energy saving to sealing up a building envelope to water saving and even producing energy. In my own house produces as much energy as I use, and it powers my electric car, kind of like what Christopher's doing.
What about you, Chris? What do you think makes a home green or energy efficient? I like trying to use new terms and better ways to explain things.
Yes. So another one of the things we talk about is high performing is another term that's been used. And I really love it because it's a little more descriptive. And again, I really like to focus on the performance, the experience of whatever the device or the home is. Jan covered really kind of the basis, but I would add in addition to that, some of the side benefits that we don't talk about when you seal up a house or have energy efficiency. There are other benefits like usually better indoor air quality, less pests, right? Because they usually come in through the cracks and all of these things. So we talk about health, comfort, those things as well. But I also like to say what is, as Jan mentioned with the greenwashing, what is not necessarily green. So one of the ones we hear a lot is like, a smart home is green. And that is not true on its face only. A smart home can be used to enhance a home's green features, especially if you're monitoring, controlling, and reducing resource use with that automation. But it is not inherently. Most smart homes are actually quite the opposite from energy use and production of electronics, totally opposite of a green home, but they can be. So we kind of have to understand that nuance.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of two, different ways to look at it and think about it for sure.
This episode of The Real View is brought to you by the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. Ohio's network of community colleges provides accessible training that accommodates the busy lifestyles of aspiring real estate professionals at half the price of a traditional university. With convenient locations in every part of the state, as well as online options, Ohio's community colleges are your smart choice for pre-licensing education. For more details or to start the journey to a real estate career, visit the education page at ohiorealtors.org and then click on the pre-license course locations.
What are clients looking for when it comes to these homes, or, they have a want to be more sustainable, to be in a home, that's energy efficient, that has certain features? What are you guys seeing from your experiences and your clients? What are home buyers looking for when it comes to these types of houses?
Yeah, I think certainly energy efficiency is top. I mean, what's their bottom line in the end? Because they kind of know and learn through so much media that newer homes are more energy efficient. And indoor air quality is so important, as Christopher mentioned. I mean, better fresh air intake is so important. The off-gassing of chemicals is huge. Builders are using more no VOC products and things that give you a better indoor environment. And it's key to have a home that's going to last. The newer building codes are doing that. I mean, here in Scottsdale, we adopted the 2021 building code, and they're way ahead on the curve as far as that goes on commercial, residential, and multifamily here in Scottsdale. So that's what people want. They want that, the best of the best anymore, it seems.
Things I see here in Atlanta, affordability is key. The prices are up, interest rates are up, utility rates are up. And, the thing we've always had is people always want to pay less for the utilities, but now it's more important than ever. Combine that with resilience. Atlanta, if you've not been here, we have a moniker. We're known as the city in a forest because we have a lot of trees, and it's an amazing tree canopy that we have, but we also get a lot of storms. And we had a really bad storm come through Sunday night, and it knocked out a lot of power. I was actually without power for 28 hours at my house. I do not have a battery yet at my home, so it's on my list. But, so things like that in the future are going to matter. Having backup generation, having battery, having solar plus battery, things like that. One thing I also see, I'm an older millennial, so a lot of my clients and friends have increasingly, had kids over the last 5-6 years. And the one thing that's interesting to see is buyers, when I have helped them buy their first home, they haven't really cared. They've kind of been cheap on the inspection. I've said, hey, we're a class 1 area with the EPA for radon. Like, always get a radon test in Georgia. And I don't need it. But suddenly, I come back a couple of years later, they've got a baby and they've got a live radon monitor in the house. So that's the other thing is, people with kids, people with breathing issues are really caring about what is the air quality in their home. And that is a high performance or green home issue as well. So that's something, that we're just seeing more and more.
Yeah, no, fascinating. Very, very interesting stuff there. And I know this is kind of what we're going to be focusing a lot of the CE class on during our convention in September, is around what clients should know about their homes and how we as realtors can help guide our clients. Give maybe your best or biggest takeaway as far as what clients should know when it comes to sustainability in their homes.
Us as realtors, we know that the clients we stay in touch with, the clients that we have conversations with, the clients that come to us when they are having work done on their house, right? They say, I want a new kitchen. Do you have a contractor? These tie in great with sustainability because the new conversations are happening because they see things on TV. And number one, if you use any of these technologies yourself, whether it's an electric car or a heat pump or whatever you might do, it's probably going to come up in conversation. So clients are going to think of you when they think about it for their own home. But then as they're out in the world and they're hearing news stories, or maybe they're talking to their CPA and now hearing about the IRA rebates, clients need to know that there are realtors out there who can give them informed information on navigating this stuff, from actual information, not outdated or biased information that is wrong, killing that idea very early in the process, to including some sources, such as vendors that do this work well, providing them contacts for other financial professionals that could answer their questions on taking advantage of the benefits and the tax credits and rebates that are available. It's a really big opportunity. Agents who do this, their clients will know that they're a source for it, and it's just going to be a virtuous cycle.
What do you think, Jan?
When I got my first green designation in 2008, one of the very first things I did was build a website. And that website has a slew of vendors. I still have the same website because when I'm out showing homes and explaining that newer homes were energy efficient, and then they're looking at older homes with a big question mark, like, oh, what can we do to this home? Tell them, don't worry, I will help you make this home more energy efficient. I have a wealth of vendors from every category in the same website by down the list of categories. And then I explain what I did in my own house. So when you walk the walk, you can share that with them, that this is how it worked for me. Here's the return on investment for how I accomplished this, how I took my house net zero, because that's what they want to know. I mean, energy costs aren't going down. And as you go forward, the return on investment for what you include in your home gets higher and higher as energy costs go up. So you can help them make that older home more energy efficient. Just put out a list of vendors and 2 of each.
I think that's really great point to make, is that, when we think about our clients, if maybe, they say they're wanting, this feature in a house, that this is something that's important to them. There's not a house existing out there that maybe is like that, but there is a way that you're able to make those improvements on your house. I think that's so important, especially in a tight inventory market. If we're not finding the home that's perfectly ready to go and has all these features and upgrades, that you can work with your realtor and bring that expertise to the table and say, like, hey, I know this doesn't have all your features right now, but let's make it happen. And there are upgrades that you can do that makes your house, more energy efficient and more along the lines that what you're looking for. I think that's really great. And that's another added skill that realtors can bring to the table, when we're working with our clients. If you all had a crystal ball in front of you and could look into it and see what the future of sustainability looks like, what would be in that crystal ball, or what is your prediction as the future of sustainability in real estate? What does that look like to you all?
I would say it's a massive transformation, and it's already underway. And what I really love about all 3 states that we're in, me and Georgia, Jan in Arizona, and of course, Ohio, is that I was actually at a talk yesterday. U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm, previous governor of y'all's neighboring state of Michigan, is doing a cross-country tour right now to really tout the IRA and the 3 different bipartisan bills that all go together to build American infrastructure and the energy transition. And one big theme here is economic development. The reshoring of manufacturing, which we lost for decades in a lot of these areas, Georgia and Ohio especially. We are breathing life and opportunity back into communities that have had loss of opportunity. And it's important because a lot of these communities already have the infrastructure. That's why they're getting it, the workforce. But why does it matter for us? It matters because those people need housing. People are getting good paying jobs, and they need housing. They're going to be implementing, more of us are going to have these technologies. But I would say this, it's a massive shift. It will change cost, stability of the energy that we're used to, but it will still feel much the same. As Jan and I both, who live very electric lives, we're not out there doing something totally funky and different. It's very much similar. There's some little mind shift and experience changes, but for the most part, they're more convenient and easier to do, especially like driving electric cars. No more going to the gas station, we charge at home. Maintenance is much less. Life is just easier. There's a lot more time and money left in the bank.
And Jan, what about you? What does your crystal ball say for the future of sustainability in real estate?
As our building codes change every 3 years, and as we get tighter and tighter construction, I see all new construction becoming net zero. I see some really cool things in building products. Just yesterday, I met with a company that's Enviro Green Salvage. They're doing 50 homes a year where the teardowns are recycled content, donations, tax credits. And so no matter the square footage, they're going to recycle content, that concrete. And I just see more and more of that, keeping things out of the landfill, because, we just are going to run out of room. We're not going to have, room for more landfills. I mean, we have to do something. So I was excited to meet with this company owner and put together a realtor event and spread the word. So I see exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important too, this is something that's going to be sticking around, and it's going to be a way just how the world is, I think, moving forward. So I think it's really great that, as realtors, we're staying on top of this and making this something that we can do every day in our practices. if we're a realtor who doesn't really have much experience with this or wants to get started, how all would you guys say is the best way to, dip your toe into the sustainability water, and how should we start educating ourselves and starting to make this a part of our everyday business?
I say the first is mindset. Be curious, be open, because you're going to have a lot of old beliefs, bias, positions you've heard other people share that are going to be challenged. And so you need to be open to learning and changing your mind and be a sponge. I always say it's always a benefit and a great learning experience to start doing it yourself. So look at your own home and explore opportunities to increase sustainability, reduce cost in your own lifestyle. Because usually what happens is you start with one and then it goes really well. You get interested, you start looking at everything else basically, and it becomes a journey, right? Give yourself some grace. You're never going to be perfect. You never start from the beginning. You got to start and just take the first baby step. And that's the hardest part for a lot of folks. And just make the journey, share the journey. People are going to have questions with you along the way. They're great engagement and chances to speak with people. As realtors, we're always looking for people to reach out to us organically. There's honestly no better way.
Yeah, that's really great. What about you, Jan? How is the best way for our realtors to get started with sustainability?
My first base of knowledge is education. I always tell people, get your green designation. But when you get your green designation, that doesn't stop there. As Christopher said, you have to be curious. You have to reach out. I mean, when I got my first green designation in 2008, the first thing I did was go to the home show. I wanted to meet every vendor that had any kind of product in water, energy efficiency, sustainability, and they thought I was nuts, but I was interviewing people in booths, So that really turned into me visiting companies and learning about products, because that's the only way you're going to do it back then anyway. That was 2008. So now there's so much more and so many more innovation and technology inventions.
If you guys are listening and want to get more involved, don't be afraid. And if you're afraid, even, that's okay. Do it anyway. I do have great resources in Jan and Christopher, who I'm sure will be able to help guide you and coach you through this kind of world. So just do it. There's really no downfall to getting involved in this and really trying to learn all you can about it. And you guys, as I mentioned, are going to be with us for convention here in just a few weeks in September. Is there anything you all are looking forward to about coming to hang out with us in Cincinnati in your presentation? And what are you guys looking forward to the most about joining us at convention this year?
Well, I think it's kind of funny that we're at Duke Convention Center or something. So it's an energy company. So, it's a little bit of irony. It'll actually be my first time in Ohio, and I'll actually be back for my second time in Ohio the very next month. So, I guess maybe I'm starting a trend, but I'm just excited to be with y'all in Ohio. Y'all seem to be a very inclusive and forward-thinking organization. So kudos to y'all for having this conversation. And I'm looking forward to connecting with several Ohio realtors that I'm sure will be at convention.
Well, and since I'm originally from Kansas, this is going to be like going home.
Yeah. Back in the Midwest, right?
Back to my friendly people in the Midwest.
Yeah. No, it's going to be awesome. We're really excited to be having you guys. And I know I'm looking forward to learning more about sustainability. So I really appreciate you guys joining us at convention and joining me here today to talk a little bit more and preview, this session that's up and coming at convention. So thank you all both so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Great seeing you.
And to all of our listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you are registered for this year's convention. You can do that by visiting our website, ohiorealtors.org/convention. Make sure to circle Christopher and Jan's presentation on the ins and outs of sustainability. Mark that on your calendars as you're planning your agenda so you can learn more. Get up to speed on this world of sustainability, because I think it's going to be really important to our industry for the years to come. So thank you all for tuning in. I will be back with you next week. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to The Real View. That wraps up today's episode. You can keep up with the latest on the podcast at ohiorealtors.org/therealview and on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Have questions, comments, or suggestions? We want to hear from you. Email us at podcast@ohiorealtors.org. We'll see you next time.